Hey, Siddarth. I hope that you're doing well. I hope you've had a great week. So, last week, we were working on tuning your drums and getting their sound a little more consistent across the board, right? And as we were tuning your drums, we were talking about all the different reasons that you may want to tune your drums. As a review, one big reason is so that the pitch of your drums matches the pitch of the song that you're listening to, right? Whenever people make songs, they pick notes that fit very well together. And we could do that on multiple levels. But one way to lock it in even further is to make sure that your drums are tuned up in that same way. Primarily your tom and your snare and your kick, right? Especially that may be the case if you are being hired as a studio musician. So, say someone hired you to come in and play drums on their song. They're going to want the song to sound very good, yes? So, as the producer or the recording engineer, or maybe even the artist themselves, is listening to the drums, they may go, these drums, like the way you're playing is great, but they don't really fit the vision that I was going for, or they don't fit the song overall. Well, an option may be to tune the drums in a different way, right? Another reason that you may tune your drums is just so that you could get a sound that you like better. Like maybe you're playing on your drums and you're playing around and it's like, this is fun, but like it doesn't quite sound right. It's very much a personal preference whenever you're doing it for yourself. But you go around to the drums, you tune them, you get them sounding how you think they should sound, and then it incentivizes you to play even more because now your drums sound real good to you, right? Okay. Well, this week I wanted to zero back in on Golden, right? You've been doing a very, very good job of learning this song. But something that I noticed or have been noticing is that sometimes your kick will sort of lag behind everything else. And I think the main cause of that is that is your kicking technique. I think you're putting way too much pressure on your foot, and as a result, your leg and your ankle are tensed up, and that is making it hard for you to move your foot with ease. So, I'm going to show you a little something that will help with that. Okay, so things that we want to avoid. I'm going to shift down here. Make sure that you get this. Okay, so things to avoid whenever we're kicking with our foot, right? What we don't want to do is lift our whole foot and launch it into the pedal. Not only is that going to take up a lot of energy from what we're doing, but it's going to be a lot harder to control. And not only will it be harder to control, because we're using so much more energy, our leg is going to get real tired real fast. And that is going to make it even harder to stay in time with this already pretty zoom in song. So, we also don't necessarily want to bury the beater into the drum. Not for this one, I don't think, at least. There may be use cases to do it later on for different songs and different textures, but for this one, you're going to be moving it along. And the same thing here. Whenever you bury the beater into the kick, that's just using more energy. It's going to set your leg up to get much tired much quicker. Much more tired much quicker. So, what we're going to do, our foot, we're primarily going to use our toes. Our toes are going to be the contact point for the pedal. But we don't want to lift our foot to do it. Not our whole foot and leg at least. What we want is to lift with our heel and just let the foot fall naturally. I sort of think of it like my foot is kind of doing the worm. It's kind of weird, but it works. And whenever we do that, not only are we using less energy, but we're still striking the kick with a good amount of force. And you'll notice the beater is not being stuck into the kick. It's bouncing right off. You could get a nice resonant tone from kicking that way. So, with a metronome, and trust me, the metronome is very important here. What we want to do is we want to match up our kick with our hi-hat. Along with our metronome at that 60 beats per minute, we're going to match up our kicking foot with our hi-hat on eighth notes. And the goal here is to make sure that one, they're hitting at the same time, but that two, the beater is bouncing right off of the kick head. If you're pounding it in every single time, you are not going to be able to keep up for very long. It's just, your leg is just going to get way too tired. So make sure that beater is continuously bouncing off of the kick. And whenever that starts to feel nice and good, you can turn up the metronome a little bit quicker, maybe like 3 or 4 clicks, and try it there until that feels nice and consistent. And then eventually you'll be able to do it real quick. It'll feel much easier to kick, and you will have gotten practice lining up your kicking foot with your hi-hat. Alrighty, great work. I will see you very soon. I hope that you have a great week. Till next time, buddy.